It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
The Utah Jazz are back in action tonight in Portland. PK, this looks like a dangerous game. Portland's bad. Not horrific. They're not one of the bottom 4 teams in the NBA, but they're probably one of the bottom 8 or 10. Got to be careful. Might accidentally win this game.
I don't know that they're good enough to win anything accidentally. I think they'll have to play really, really well to win any game this year. And the opportunity to do that will be there every game, but I don't think they'll succeed more than 3 out of 10, if that.
3 out of 10. Oh, yeah, I would take the under.
What's the under?
Less than 3 out of 10.
You only got 2 choices.
Yeah. According to ESPN, the Jazz are open to trading veterans Colin Sexton, John Collins, and Jordan Clarkson.
According to anybody with a clue, the Jazz are open to trading every single person on that roster.
Jordan Clarkson still, there's been a year's worth of rumors there. Come on now.
I'd give him away.
They wouldn't do that. Could have moved him last year for second-round picks, I've heard, but that didn't happen. Maybe this year. Jazz play in Portland night. They're in Sacramento on Sunday. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
Niang shovels it off to Mitchell. We're about to hit the 2-minute mark here in the third. Cavs by 13. Merrill 3. Good! Cavs by 16. Jared Allen feeds left side to LeVert. Back out front to Mitchell. 3 ball up. Closing time! Donovan Mitchell with the 3.
And it's Pell's ball up 4, 2:25 to go in the third. This group has played pretty much the entire quarter. Ingram, another 3 left of the top. Deep BI.
Highlights from around the NBA. There it is. The game of the night as far as Jazz fans are concerned. Brandon Ingram for 3, and the Pelicans beat the shorthanded Suns 126-124. New Orleans picks up their 5th win in the race to the bottom. That is good news for the Jazz.
Will that be partial Suns then?
Yes. Yeah, it was partly sunny. There was no Kevin Durant.
Or Nurkic. They're missing 2 of their 5.
And Beal was there, but he was turning the ball over with great regularity. So he helped.
Oh, you worked last night?
I did not.
Did you watch the game?
I did not. I did see the score and think, what happened? How many of the big 3 played? I mean, I knew Durant was out.
He's out for a couple of weeks. They put a game on the Jazz schedule a week from tonight here at the Delta Center, which the Suns will be coming in, and I do not believe that Durant will be playing. Although the initial prognosis was 1 to 2 weeks, and it was just the other night. So that would be about 10 days, so I don't think he'll be playing on that one.
Suns get beat. The Warriors take down the Rockets 99-93. No Steph Curry, and yet they prevail. 2 of the top 5 teams. They're both right now running the top third of the West. And the Warriors get the win without their star. Can we start talking about the Rockets now as a model for the Jazz? You think we've seen enough of the turnaround in Houston to believe? Because we always talk about OKC. No debate about that.
Well, what are the Rockets, though? I mean, I think this whole idea of doing what the Jazz did was to open the championship window. Is that where the Rockets are? I don't see that.
It's pretty early to be talking about that, right? But they've gone from 20 wins to 41 wins to...
but the Jazz could have done that.
Yeah, they're winning. Well, they're winning about 2 out of 3 now. But you're right. That was right now. What we're seeing from Houston looks like it could top out at what the Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert group topped out at, first or second round. I don't think anybody's ready to pronounce championships for Houston yet.
No, if the Jazz wanted to get there, I think they would be more in on doing what they could to get there. But right now, it doesn't seem like that's what they want, to be able to do that. So they're holding back until they have an opportunity to do something big,
right.
Which is why this year is so freaking crucial to suck, and suck some more.
so
you can get one of those top guys.
Get an elite player at the top of the draft.
Right. And then go from there. See, if you believe you have that, then
you can start putting pieces around.
Yeah, you can go much more aggressively to build it and proceed to win at a much better pace than they are right now. They have no desire to win, and they shouldn't right now. Not this year.
Right.
We'll reevaluate in the next 2 to 3 years, but not right now.
Big Victor Wembanyama did not play as the Spurs got hammered by the Bulls 139 to 124. How big a difference is he defensively? I mean, that 139 number, that catches your eyes.
Oh, I mean, I couldn't believe it when I first saw it.
That's what I thought.
And Lonzo Ball didn't play. And I thought, man, they get him back, they'll have a ball.
In the race to the bottom, the Wizards are serious. 16 losses in a row. Quite the streak. The Mavericks blow them out 137 to 101.
I see absolutely no hope for them this year. I mean, it seems like they will get the worst record, and then it comes down to a matter of luck at that point. I mean, just looking at their box scores, and I'm following them to a sense more than I ever have.
Right?
Since Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes and Bobby Dandridge, because they are a threat to what the Jazz are trying to accomplish. And I don't see any way that they don't become a threat. They will be a threat all season, and to get the worst record, I think they'll get it.
Cleveland's the first team to 20 wins this season. They improved to 20 victories, just 3 defeats. Cleveland beats Denver 126 to 114.
But Jokic moved ahead of Magic Johnson for the third most ever triple-doubles, 139.
And the leader is his teammate Russell Westbrook at 200, 61 to go. He ought to get there. They're running everything through him.
I think Westbrook will retire with that record intact.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
Third down and 10. Here's the snap. Blitz on. Love fires end zone. Tucker Craft. Got it. Touchdown, Green Bay Packers.
Goff has got it back, looking, throwing middle. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Tim Patrick, that is your first in the Motor City, my man. There it is. Fox the hold. Kick away. It is up, and it is good. These Detroit Lions, you want to talk about grit. You want to talk about determination. You want to talk about resiliency. This team is all of those things.
The Detroit Lions get a 35-yard field goal from Jake Bates as time runs out, and they beat the Green Bay Packers 34-31. The former Ute, Tim Patrick, with 2 touchdown catches, 6 catches for 43 yards.
I think it was obvious, and I watched just about all the game. I missed Detroit's first score, but other than that, I had the game on literally the rest of the way and did not turn off because it's harder to do with
harder to wander away from streaming.
Yeah, and thankfully my daughter streams it, so I rip off her password, and away I go. And it really felt like from once Green Bay came and looked really great on that first drive in the second half, it seemed like, okay, at this point, whoever has the ball last is going to win the game. And this is exactly what happened.
And furthermore, that was exactly the Lions' plan. Going for it, they went for it on 4th down a couple times earlier, but they would have had to give the ball back to Green Bay. And their coach said later he didn't want to do that.
Yeah, and if they would have scored with
game.
2.5 minutes to go or something,
then Green Bay could have gone down. And,
I think they would have.
Right. And he thought
Those are
so, too.
Two good teams, two excellent quarterbacks. Yeah, it was a very entertaining game. They're both, I would think, going to make the playoff and probably have success early on, so maybe they could see each other down the road. I realize the Lions swept, but both of them were right there.
Dan Campbell went for it 5 times over the course of that game, converted 4 of them. Actually, I think the touchdown catches were on 4th down. Had a couple of conversions there on that last drive as well. A little risky, but hey, risk it for the biscuit, and it paid off. They converted, and they get the win. Coming up this weekend, so many games. You fired up for any of these? You just let them break over you and see if the Rams can push the Bills. The Rams 500 and losing guys, but they tend to play entertaining
football. I think the Sunday night game is interesting. The Chargers are capable of beating anybody, and the Chiefs have been living on the line here for the entire season. And then you got the NFC West where everybody's jumbled. And
Seahawks are in Arizona playing the Cardinals, so high stakes there with everybody between 7-5 and 5-7 in that division.
Right. I don't see anybody good, but I don't see anybody awful. Somebody's got to win it. Somebody's got to get to the postseason. I wouldn't think they'd get any wild card out of that division, so you got that thing going on there. And they're playing each other, so two teams in the division, so that's a highlight game.
The only way they get a wild card is the Washington Commanders have to do some losing. They got the last wild card at 8-5, and you got a bunch of 6-loss teams in the South and the West. But you're probably right. Probably no extra postseason berth for that division. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Utah.
Jason Beck, offensive coordinator at the University of Utah. How's that sound to you, PK?
Great. Yeah.
Former BYU quarterback, spent the last year with the New Mexico Lobos and Bronco Mendenhall, who he coached with in Virginia and BYU. He also briefly was at Syracuse. So he comes in with an offense that averaged 33 points and 484 yards per game.
Well, I think that it's a twofold story if this turns out. I mean,
QB transfer?
Yeah, Jason Beck, he's been coaching for a number of years. He's backup quarterback at BYU, obviously. He was Jaw Beck to Joe Beck on the jerseys.
We remember.
Yeah.
When they have the same last name, they put the first initial. That didn't help. They had to put two letters.
So, yeah, Jaw Beck and Joe Beck. And he did play that one game against Utah State when John had the ankle injury all season his senior year. And so he's been in coaching for a good long while. And, if I take the approach of head coaching, well, what do I know?
What do you know, right?
And so
see how it plays out.
This guy, but
is he bringing the quarterback with him?
This kid, Devin Dampier, he's a Phoenix kid, grew up in Scottsdale. He's small. He's at best 5'11", but he's at New Mexico last year, and he's in the transfer portal because obviously he's losing his coach and his coordinator, and who knows what they're going to do. And he's one of only 3 kids in the D1 category to throw for over 2,000 and run for over 1,000. I saw him play 3 or 4 times. I watched the whole game against Arizona. He's extremely dynamic. Again, shorter, so he's probably not an NFL guy, but that doesn't matter.
Elusive, though.
He can move. He's a player. Right now, to me, if he decides to come here, and I don't know who else they're going to add, and we haven't even gotten the spring ball, so I don't know about the recovery of Rose and Isaac and what's Rising going to do. But right now, today, if he comes, I would put him as the starter. And Mike Sanford, the younger one, the older one, was in coaching for a long time, and so was Mike Jr. I don't think he's in coaching right now. In fact, he was at Utah State for a year. That's how Scotty knows him. And then he was Colorado's interim coach. And I think last year he was coaching in Denver high school ball for a guy named Jason Klatt. Yes, he is Joel Klatt's brother. And so he puts out on Twitter last night, he's responding to the Dampier being in the transfer portal. He tells On 3 Sports, and then Sanford Jr., Utah's starting QB next fall, and boy, is he a doozy.
Well, here's one for you, Ute fans. He played in every game. How about that? After 2 years of quarterback injuries, yes, he runs a lot, and at least getting hit a lot, but he was durable, minimized the hits.
Well, in order to run, he threw for 2,700 yards.
You got to play a lot,
and ran for 1,100, so he has to.
They were the 3rd highest scoring team in the Mountain West Conference behind Boise State and UNLV, who are obviously in the conference title game and ranked. But their defense was terrible, so they didn't win a lot. They were 5-7.
So if they can get him,
that'd be a big
I don't want to downplay Jason because you hope Jason's there for 5 or 10 years or whatever. But Dampier, and I believe he's got 2 years of eligibility left. He's a player, man. I mean, he is a player.
Running back Dijon Stanley announced he will be entering the transfer portal. The running back room will be completely rebuilt. Is that 3 of the top 4 running backs gone now?
Yeah, if you want to go on that. He didn't
they
get
had
much
one.
time as the season gone on. They got a couple of kids coming in. They got the other kid, Mitchell. Even in their down year, they still had a 1,000-yard back.
There you go.
So until I see otherwise.
They'll have a good running game and a good running back.
And if this kid, Dampier, comes, they may have 2.
2, right, because you pencil him as 1, right?
I would, yeah.
All right, more on this coming up. Reaction from all the Ute fans. You've been weighing in. We got a question up on Facebook. You can use the open mic feature on our app. Send us your take, Ute fans. You have your offensive coordinator. His name is Jason Beck. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Utah State.
ESPN's Pete Thamel reporting that Utah State's finalized a 6-year deal for the New Mexico head coach Bronco Mendenhall. BYU to Virginia to New Mexico for 1 year to Utah State. Bronco coming back to the Beehive State.
We've been here for 3 decades, both of us. And I think that in football and basketball, of any program in the state at the collegiate level, this is the most accomplished coach who has been hired.
Because people like Kyle Whittingham had never been a head coach. Right. Yeah.
And Bronco was himself brand new. Kalani was brand new.
Gary Anderson was brand
had
new.
coached at SUU, but we didn't know he was going to have that kind of success, and he did in the WAC. And he did a great job. Matt Wells had never been a head coach.
When they hired Gary the second time, which didn't go well, but when they hired him the second time, he was more accomplished, coming from Wisconsin and Oregon State.
But I would still put what Bronco has done to date, it's like it is an absolute no-brainer. There's enough guys around that he may not know the head coach at Roy, and I have no idea who it is, compared to where he was when he coached at BYU. Mm-hmm. But he knows all about Roy. He knows the community. He knows everything about the state. He obviously can recruit LDS guys. If I'm BYU, I'm not exactly pleased on this because he might get some players.
Yeah.
And obviously guys that we call them lower levels, but they're not lower level football players. We've seen BYU, Jay Hill take guys, multiple guys last year were in the starting lineup. Collins at the corner, Jack Kelly at linebacker. So lower level, but that doesn't mean you're a lower player. So I want to make sure. So, he can get some of these kids and that may be able. Karene Reed was a Utah State guy, and then he ends up starting his whole time at Utah, obviously. So, but that's the way it goes, man. And to Bronco, I hope that we've had the Utah State coach on for several years, 7:30 Monday mornings. I hope he continues it.
Hope that deal stays in place, right?
Yeah.
Aggie star safety Ike Larson announced he's entering the transfer portal. It's on social media saying, I hope to stay and continue my career at Utah State, but as of now, I'll be entering the portal with 1 year of eligibility left until further notice of the Utah State coaching staff. So he will cover himself and begin fielding offers.
Yeah, and we got to see what Bronco decides, who he wants.
Yep. DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football.
We've gotten to the part of the season where there aren't as many games, but there are big games. Ranked teams playing each other this weekend. Conference titles on the line. Number 20, UNLV at number 10, Boise State. Mountain West Conference title game tonight. Tulane is also at Army if you want to watch that. Tomorrow, the Big 12 title game. Iowa State and ASU. Are injuries convincing you that the way to go is to pick Iowa State?
I'm not sure.
ASU is a 2-point favorite. Doing this without the leading receiver with Tyson out.
I mean, obviously, I would have more confidence because he's not just a leading receiver; he's the dominant receiver. I mean, it's just, you look at the stats; they're overwhelming.
Yeah,
and
he's a go-to guy.
It's a significant blow, but can somebody else take his place? The tight end is nice. Has he been underutilized? Do they go more? Because it's an intriguing game because what is Iowa State going to do? Obviously, that star receiver's out. He's a big-time guy. And then they've got a big-time back. But if you determine you're going to stop that big-time back, what did the Devils do to adjust to your adjustments? I assume the other guys can catch the ball.
Right?
Right?
And just ask you to make a couple big plays.
Yeah.
And maybe they can. And maybe they're like, yeah, I was running over there on the other side of the field, but the quarterback's locked onto Tyson, and he makes a big play. So there's only one football, but I was open too.
And that remains to be seen.
Right.
I don't know the answer to that.
Right.
We'll find out.
So that's the Big 12 title game in Arlington, and that is the morning game on ABC. If you want to watch it, that's at 10 o'clock.
I do.
SEC title game after that with Georgia and Texas, both presumably in the playoff, playing for the bye there. And then in primetime, Penn State, Oregon on CBS and Clemson, SMU on ABC. Clemson's the wild card in all of this, right? If they win,
they're in.
They're in, and they get a bye. If they lose, what do they look like in defeat?
Oh, they're out if they lose.
Really?
Clemson?
Even if they lose in overtime?
I think they're out.
If they lose at the final gun?
I think the other issue is if SMU loses, are they out?
Oh, excuse me. I said that backwards. Yes, Clemson is definitely out with a loss. If SMU loses a close game, are they out?
Oh, okay.
I said that backwards. My bad.
Right.
SMU is the wild card here. Does a close loss get them in?
To me, it should.
But you're not betting against Alabama getting in.
Exactly. Right.
I think we're all with you. I think you speak for the people on this. If Clemson goes out there and kicks a field goal at the end and beats SMU at 11-2 ought to get in. And Bama would be out. But we'll see.
Right. We will. Yeah.
And what if it's a little, 7 or 10, and where's the line? But we'll find out when the game
I
ends.
think Big 12, well, certainly Mountain West tonight, Big 12, and I can argue strongly ACC win or you go
Win or
to
you're toast.
Other bowl game.
Yeah. Bill Belichick reports out there that after half a century in the NFL and 1 year in the media, he's had discussions with North Carolina about the Tar Heels head coaching job.
That'd be shocking.
It's a whole new set of problems to take on at the age of 72.
Yeah, but he's got that 24-year-old little hottie, so
I did see a lot of comments. He's 72. He can't relate to younger people, and immediately all the comments went to, have you seen his girlfriend? He can't relate to younger people, so. Apparently his dad coached there. I did not know that. His dad was there for like 3 years.
Bill Sr.?
I think his name is Steve.
Steve Sr.?
I don't know about the senior part. DJ and PK.
#NHL.
At the same time, the Big 12's playing their title game. The Utah Hockey Club will be playing in Buffalo. Sabres and Utah Hockey Club getting underway at 11 a.m. Hockey morning in Utah starts at 10 a.m. And they go back-to-back. They're at Philadelphia this Sunday. 5:30, a little more traditional on the start time there. They haven't played since Monday, so this has been a pretty long break here. Longest break they'll get this side of the All-Star break / Four Nations tournament break.
Yeah, late fall break.
What is trending is brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Question of the day coming up next. David Locke is here at 8 o'clock. Kevin Graham is here at 9 o'clock. Talking football. DJ and PK. The question of the day, your reaction to the coaching moves, next.
Now let's get this party started.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
This story is crazy about becoming an ultimate Aggie, which apparently is getting up on that bull naked. What bull is it? Is it the one that's by the Estes Center? Isn't that bull like bucking? I'm just wondering how 5 nude men could fit on that.
It's a big bull.
5 nude men could fit on that?
5 smaller men, yeah, probably could make that work. There you go. That's the size of the thing right there.
Okay, it's not bucking. You could probably fit upwards of 10 naked men on there. So in order for you to be the ultimate Aggie, you have to be naked?
Yes.
I did not know that this was a thing.
See, I would think if you were going to be an ultimate Aggie, that it needs to be solo.
Because these 5 were not solo.
And that's where a lot of guys up at Utah say, like, hey, let's maybe dial that down a little bit.
Easy. One ultimate Aggie at a time.
Catch Hans and Scotty weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Take DJ and PK wherever you go. Find every moment of every show in podcast form by searching DJ and PK on your favorite platform. This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hot Takes or Toast brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen with 30 years of serving Utah. Question of the morning, reaction to the coaching hires. How about Utah hiring former BYU quarterback Jason Beck as the OC? Don, I always wish former BYU players and coaches well. Good for him. I hope they pay him well. Certainly more than he was making as Broncos assistant in New Mexico. Change is inevitable for coaches. Get all the cash you can while you can get it.
For anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, I think he'll get a pay raise. I don't think he would take it for the same money or a pay cut. So he'll get a pay raise and get to see what he can do. It'll be exciting. I'm excited for him to do it. The fact that he went to BYU, I got over that a long time ago. I mean, Jay Hill and Sione Puha played at Utah. I'm over that.
Tom, seriously? ? BYU players coach at Utah and then eventually end up at BYU to coach. Does either school have any ability to hire outside of a small circle? Lame.
Well, I think Jason Beck is outside of that circle, even though he's inside.
What'd you do that for?
Well, obviously...
Because he went off to Virginia and Syracuse and New Mexico. Yeah. He hasn't been bouncing back and forth between a couple of local campuses.
Right. That's as far east as you can get. So he does have experience. And he's a California kid. He just came here for a couple years. And I think Ronnie Mack hired him at Weber way back when. So he had coached at Weber. The fact that he went to BYU is so what? That what difference does that make? That's to me, he's got a lot of varied experience. If you want to make the argument he just stayed in the state, like Morgan Scally and to a large extent Kyle, I realize.
Hill.
Yeah,
Kalani. But Kalani left. He went to Oregon State
for a little bit,
1 year.
Okay, that is a little bit different, but what difference does that make? No, Beck's been around.
Multiple leagues, so he's seen multiple styles.
Yeah.
Had to coach against a lot of different defensive coordinators to do things differently.
Yeah.
Tony says familiarity with the system, the recruiting, and the soon-to-be Morgan Scally way of doing things. He's also the third choice. Time will tell.
Oh, I don't care about that either.
The third choice?
Yeah.
There's tons of examples of fourth and fifth choice coaches working out.
Go ahead. Bring your Jim Herrick one.
I was going to go Pete Carroll. I was going to stay with football.
That doesn't mean anything anymore. Every BYU coach in the last 25 years has not been the first choice because the first choice at every sport at BYU is Andy Reid.
Would you like to coach the swim? Would you like to coach the swim team, Andy?
It doesn't matter. Any sport.
Golf? Do golf, Andy? Tennis?
Yeah, beach volleyball. So automatically, you are the second choice, whoever you are. Bronco. I don't know that he was at BYU. They were all crazy about him at the time, and they were going to go with another guy who was on the staff to the point where they'd had at the press conference, they had former players vouch for it. They were going to have video things out there, and then at the end, they changed their minds. And I think Bronco did very well, especially when the field was even. When it was Utah-BYU, and they were both in the same conference, he did very well. It got a little lopsided when they went independent, but things were dramatically different at that point.
Mark, Jason could be the latest in a long line of offensive coordinators who are one and done under Whittingham. Isn't there more two and done?
Well, I think he will be one and done under Kyle.
Under Kyle, because Kyle would be done.
Yeah.
See? See?
But this is going to be, as Kyle said, Morgan Scally's significant input to the point of maybe even having the most input. And these are two younger guys. And I'm excited to see what he can do.
Jason's all about it. Great hire. Jason has tons of experience. Jason likes Jason. The Jasons are sticking together.
Yeah.
He does have quite a bit of experience at this point.
Yes. And first thing I would do, any quarterback, I'd have Jaw Beck send him down to Joe Beck.
That is the question. Leroy says it's a great tryout position for Jason Beck. If he's any good, he'll be ready for the call from BYU. See the rivalry in all things.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Nobody knows.
This is not a tryout for anything. This is a job to
hit the ground running next year.
Have Utah just have a 1-year blip.
Aaron says Utah needs all the help from BYU they can get. Smiling, winking emoji.
Smiling, winking emoji.
I take that as lighthearted rivalry jabs there.
And that's fine.
Right.
That's fine. No big deal about that. I got Zippo problem on that.
We also have how about Utah State hiring Bronco Mendenhall as his next football coach? And Don says they must have offered him a lot more money than New Mexico could pony up. My guess is he really wanted to come back to Utah, and good luck to Bronco. He pulled BYU out of the Gary Croton abyss.
Well, that's a fact, that last part.
Yeah.
That'll be a fact for the rest of the time, for sure. He did, there's no question he did that. We already know that for sure. He'll explain why he wanted to come.
Captain Cody, I've always been a fan of Bronco, and he's got Will Ferrell in the grocery aisle. Awesome! And then beating up the groceries.
I can tell you I am a huge fan of Bronco, and I was a huge fan right in the middle. I was the beat guy for the Watchdog, and in those days, practices were open, so you were literally down there most every day. You were there in training camp in August when everything was open, so you went every day for 3 straight weeks, and then you went...
Sometimes twice a day.
Yeah, you
sometimes
went 3 times during the week.
Yeah. Sometimes working out in Provo so that you didn't drive back and forth.
I would, yeah. I would work
So the
out
point
there.
is you had a lot of interaction with him. You had time to...
Big time.
See him repeatedly.
Right, and watch... I'm a big fan of how you do things. What's your consistency level? And how much spin do you put on? Because I'm an East Coast dude at heart.
He didn't have much time for
and
spin.
I could sniff out spin. And a lot of folks, plus if you get more experience in the business, and I got out the yin-yang now. I didn't have as much then, obviously. And I wanted to ask him, I said, Bronco, I've been dealing with, at that point I had 15, 20 years. I said, I've been dealing with a lot of coaches, a lot of levels, pro, high school, college, and I find you and your honesty to be as refreshing as anybody I'd ever covered. Why are you like that? And he says to me, he says, because if I tell the truth, then I always remember what the truth is. If I spin, then I got to remember, well, what did I say here? What did I say there? And if I just deal with you on a truthful level, you ask me a question, I give you an answer. Doesn't mean I expose everything that I'm thinking, but I tell you what's going on. Then somebody else asks me the same question wherever, in another interview, whatever. I give them the same answer because that's the truth. And I can remember the first time I got wind that he was going to be interested in taking over the coordinator's job for Croton at BYU. I call him on the way home from practice on his cell phone in New Mexico. And I call him up. He didn't know me from man in the moon. I introduce myself. I say, yeah, I understand, blah, blah, blah. What can you say? He says, I'm coming this weekend, and I'm going to check out everything. And if I like it and they like me, I'm going to take the job. I'm like, what? You're telling me this?
PK starts writing very quickly.
I expected, some kind of, I don't know if I've talked to him. I mean, it's a total BS. It was zero BS. He said, my parents are getting older. They live there. I want them to have a relationship with my boys. Blah, 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 blah. Boom, boom. It's like he was delivering a PowerPoint presentation. That was literally the first time I'd ever spoken to the man. And I found him to be refreshingly honest. And I know some people got all bent out of shape with the religion. He was charged. That was his job. He was told to do that because of all the crap that had happened before, to the point where the university was thoroughly and justifiably embarrassed. And obviously you got to meet with the church leaders here downtown in order to get these positions because they're high profile, blah, blah, blah. We all know about that. And I wasn't following Virginia day to day, but my guess is he's not going to be doing the same stripling warrior stuff and all at Utah State that he did at BYU because he was told to do that. He literally sat across the desk from a leader and said, this is what we need you to do. So if you take this job, you got to do it. Okay. So get off that. I used to frustrate me when people get all upset when he would interject religion at BYU. Kalani does it. He does it more subtly, but everybody likes Kalani, so there's no problem with it.
See, there it is.
Yeah.
18 years as a head coach for Bronco. How many losing seasons do you think he's had, PK?
Well, he's had a few. He never had one at BYU, I don't think.
Correct.
And obviously in the beginning at Virginia, they were so down. He was losing to FBS teams. I think they lost to Richmond their first game.
Went 2-10 his first year. You remember it well. It was a disaster.
Right.
But he was coming in for a program that had 4 straight losing seasons.
Yeah.
So he had 2 losing years there at Virginia as he turned it around. Then after that he didn't. He had some 500 seasons, but he didn't have losing seasons. And then he just had a losing season in his first year at New Mexico.
Right.
So if I were an Aggie fan, I would not be expecting a lot of losing seasons. I would think the first year, somewhere around 500, and then we'll see because the schedule's going to change. They're going to go in a new league. We don't even know everybody who's going to – we know most, but we don't know everybody who's going to be in this new league.
Yeah, I think you got to give him a little bit of time. I've been saying for years that 6-6 first season was one of the best coaching jobs I'd ever seen.
He had the 500 years first year at BYU. He had 2 losing seasons to start at Virginia, but he had him in the conference title game by the 4th year. And then 1 year at New Mexico, it was a losing year. But it was also their best season in a decade.
I know.
They haven't been bowl eligible in forever.
They started 0-4.
They had a lot of 2, 3, and 4 win seasons mixed in over the last decade. So
this guy's a proven winner.
5-7 was a step forward, and they got to be disappointed he's gone.
Oh, I would think so. And
he's one of
your
their
quarterback's
own.
going to go.
Yeah,
yeah, and he was a D coordinator there under Rocky, so he had experience. This is a blow. This is why we cannot ever criticize any of these kids leaving.
Because Bronco's a one-and-done himself.
Right.
Mr. Stability.
And so actually I can argue that he sets the program back. I don't know that because I don't know who they're going to get as the coach and who he can get as transfers, blah, 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 blah. But anytime you have a one-and-done, that's not good for consistency of the program. But whatever.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. David Locke is here talking trade potentials with ESPN with a story about their Jazz are open to trading veterans. He's coming up in 15 minutes. Kevin Graham is here with his thoughts on a weekend full of football and a couple of coaching hires in the state of Utah. Kevin at 9 o'clock. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present...
This is JJ and Alex.
Watching Luke Batari play at the end of the game, watching Brandon Rose play like he did against BYU, is it fair to ask how in the world Isaac Wilson was QB2? Batari and Brandon Rose were better and more efficient in the reps they got than Isaac was as a backup quarterback this year. Those two guys have played better this year than Isaac Wilson did. Why was Isaac QB2? Why didn't they go to one of these guys earlier in the season?
I don't believe it. I don't believe that there's a conspiracy there that they were like...
I don't think it's conspiracy at all. I think they just chose Isaac as QB2 QB2, and that's how it was.
I think the reason they chose
wrote
him,
it out.
maybe he is a little bit of a spring and fall football warrior, like a fall camp guy. Maybe it was a Charlie Brewer situation. You're like, no, he looked like he won the job. Why would they have wanted to put Isaac Wilson in there prematurely if he wasn't ready?
I still believe in Isaac. I think he's great. I think there's a lot of talent there, but you can throw a kid out there too soon.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 6. Presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
One of the coolest stations in the world.
Utah's highest rated, most listened to sports radio show for over 20 years.
Everyone's listening.
This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Band of the day today is Audio Slave, and it's brought to you by Live Nation. For all the live concerts and events in 2024, check out livenation.com. Pop Tarts or Alamo, BYU fans, what bowl do you prefer? A lot of people want to go to the Pop Tart Bowl in Orlando. Pop Tarts!
Yeah, I think they're afraid of losing to Colorado.
Boyd, Pop Tarts, we live in Florida.
Good for you.
Doesn't want to travel. Take the easy short trip. Michael, give me Pop Tarts or give me death.
Well, if you eat a bunch of Pop Tarts, that may happen.
Kevin, I don't love the idea of playing a conference team in a bowl game. We'll see the Buffs in Boulder next year. Jared, Pop Tarts. I don't want anything to do with Colorado.
That's what I figured.
There it is. Ryan, Alamo. It pays $8 million. Pop Tarts pays $6 million. $2 million could buy the Cougars a couple of fantastic players next year. Just saying.
I don't think it works that way.
Nah. They don't slide money around inside the budget.
Well, I don't know.
Hey, donor, don't give money to us. Give it to the collective over there. We got money here for this budget.
Wait. Hey, donor, don't give money. Hey, donor, give money here, give money there, give money everywhere. What are you talking about?
Vernon says Sugar Bowl, nothing less. That ship has sailed, Vernon.
You know what I was thinking? Suppose these teams that go in, they lose in the first round. So they make the college playoff, but they lose in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
They should get a bowl bid because they won't go to a bowl.
There's still time.
Right? If the Devils lose tomorrow, they would go to a bowl. But if they win and then they have to go on the road, that's not a bowl game. So they don't get to go to a bowl game?
Right. You would lose an on-campus game. And all the swag they get, which the players
You're out the door.
Absolutely love.
Yeah.
I mean, you can hear the enthusiasm in their voice.
So they could go 11-3 and not go to a bowl game.
Yep.
Nobody thought about that. I was up all night thinking about it.
Go to a bowl game and then a bunch of players opt out of it anyway. They don't really want to go.
Oh, good for them, but still, how about the guys who do it? I mean, obviously there's way more who stay than go.
Yep.
It's interesting that they don't get the losers of those first round games.
There's 4 teams who don't get to go bowling.
Basically, it's an away game.
Yeah, it is. You're right. Yeah. Get on a plane. They fly there. No pomp and circumstance. They'll stand on Fremont Street with the bands playing.
Right.
And everybody going crazy. No parade.
That's an absolute joke. The system sucks.
Are you talking about the quarterfinals?
Yeah.
Not the quarterfinals.
No,
quarterfinals are bowl
okay.
games.
Right, okay.
It's the first round.
Yeah. That's just an away game. It's not a bowl game.
It's a road game after a bye week.
Yeah. You've already played 4 or 5 of them, 6 of them. That's all that is. They should say, we'll go to a bowl. Like Utah in the 40s. They went to the NIT and in the NCAAs.
They did. That's true. They'd been in the NCAA tournament. They got knocked out, and then they got a phone call. We need someone to replace this school. All right.
Did they win it?
They did. I think that's how they won I can't remember if that's how they won. They won both the NIT and NCAA in that era. They'd been knocked out of one, and they went and played in the other. I don't remember which year it was.
I think the Alamo Bowl would be okay against Colorado. You want exposure to your program. Do you think they're not good enough? I mean, so you lose the game, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be a 52-0 like Oklahoma State.
That would surprise me.
And boy, of all the non-playoff bowl games, I bet you Colorado's going to have the biggest rating. They seem to always have it.
I think the Colorado. Well, yes to that right away. The BYU Colorado game is the best game that the Alamo Bowl can get. I just can't believe that it will be anything other than BYU versus Colorado in the Alamo.
Oh, that's when you said that makes so sense, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And it still makes so sense.
Get a, Christian, cut that up for Yock so we can use that. I think it was Monday. That makes so sense. I mean, that's like irony at its highest level.
It really is. I'm talking about making sense while I don't make sense. It's beautiful.
And you are the undisputed winner of the unplanned drop.
Thank you. And, of course, it was on Monday morning. The vast majority of on Monday morning. That's when I'm most tired and the brain functions the least efficiently.
Is that when you... Did you put the D in Alice on a Monday morning?
I don't know about that, but I know Spectacular Rack was on a Monday morning.
Because that was for Eric Dampier, and now the Utes have a chance to get Devin Dampier.
You think like Dampier is the cue word to get me to say something?
Well, you did it. You thought you were being clever.
I did. I did not think that all the way through. And then all of a sudden you're laughing off to my left, and I'm like, what's he laughing about? Plays back the last few seconds. Oh, that's what he's laughing about. Don't you think it's going to be Alamo Bowl versus Colorado? Why would they pass on these two teams? The only other teams they could possibly take would be ASU or Iowa State after they lose a conference title game, and those fan bases have already traveled to Texas. They're down because they just lost the game. They want to go to the playoff. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Hence, that makes so sense.
So sense. BYU and Colorado, Alamo Bowl. Circle it. Official announcement coming Sunday. All the bowls will be announced, but
they will.
Can't believe it isn't already locked up. DJ and PK, when we come back, David Locke. ESPN's got a list of players the Jazz are willing to trade. Any surprises there? We'll talk with David Locke next. Stay with us.
The holiday season. The holidays are here. And once again, all of us at KSL Sports want to make sure you don't screw up the gifts you get this season.
It's a wooden turtle.
That's right. It's your chance to be the holiday MVP. Go to KSLSports.com. You can win a 4-pack of travel tumblers from Hydro Jug. Thoughtful, practical, stylish, and spill-proof. Hydro Jug is the perfect gift. Plus, we'll throw in a blanket from Minky Couture. So what are you waiting for? Be the holiday MVP now at KSLSports.com.